Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, episode 351, Is It Selfish to Want to Move On?
Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, the only podcast that offers a proven process to help you work through your grief, to grow, evolve, and create a future you can truly look forward to. Here's your host, Master Certified Life Coach, grief expert, widow, and mom, Krista St-Germain.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today I want to talk about a question most widows ask themselves at a certain point in their grief. They might not ask it out loud. It might just be an internal question that they wrestle with. And for some of us, it doesn't even show up in the form of a question. It just feels like heaviness and maybe guilt, even before we've changed anything about the way that we're living. And that question is it selfish to want to move on? Now, if just that question rubbed you wrong, I want to start with the language because language matters. When people say moving on, a lot of widows bristle. I definitely did. And I think that's for good reason because moving on can feel like replacing them with something or someone else, or leaving them behind, or forgetting them, or closing a door. And for many widows, that doesn't feel right. It feels undesirable. It can feel downright offensive. So if moving on feels wrong to you, that makes sense. And what most widows I work with are actually talking about isn't moving on as much as it is moving forward. So moving forward, that doesn't erase the loss. It doesn't erase the past. It doesn't mean we're forgetting. It doesn't ask us to stop loving our person. Moving forward means we're going to live, and as we do, we're going to bring love and grief with us. It means that we're going to allow our life to keep unfolding. It means that we're going to acknowledge that, yes, they died and we're still living. And it means that we're not going to let our past limit or define what's possible in our future. And yet, selfishness can show up so fast. So let's talk about that word that causes so much trouble for widows, selfish. It really does haunt most widows to some degree. Whether they are aware of it or not, it is there. And that is not magical. Women are taught, often very early, that being good means being accommodating. It means putting ourselves last. It means anticipating the needs of other people. It means being emotionally available and making sure everyone around us feels good and is taken care of. So, when a woman wants something for herself, especially something that doesn't directly benefit others, there's an internal alarm that goes off. Selfish. And it's not even because she's hurting anyone else. It's because she's prioritizing herself, and she has learned that that is not okay. And that belief doesn't usually come from one place. It is absorbed very slowly, consistently, through family dynamics and cultural expectations, maybe religion, motherhood messaging. It comes from many, many places. And over time, it gets internalized. And for women, selfish is rarely about actual harm. It doesn't have anything to do with harming other people. What it's really about is non-compliance. Not complying with the roles we have been taught to live into. And this is the part I really want you to listen for. Because by the time most women reach adulthood, they don't need anyone else to call them selfish. It's not words other people use. They do it themselves. And this is what it sounds like when we're internally policing ourselves. It sounds like, I shouldn't want this. Now isn't the right time. Other people have it worse. I'll deal with this later. It might also sound like, oop, who do you think you are? Or, the world doesn't revolve around me. Or it might hurt their feelings. My kids need me to stay the same. My kids need me to not do this. They won't understand, whoever the they is. They will think I'm selfish. Okay? It can sound so different. Lots of different statements. We internally police ourselves with selfishness. And what still continues to amaze me is how often this happens when there is no external consequence at play. No one has actually said anything. No one has drawn a line. No one has told you that you're doing something wrong. Nothing bad would happen to someone else if you made the choice you're contemplating. And yet, the desire gets shut down anyway. We shut it down internally for ourselves. Because the part of you that learned how you're supposed to be uses the label of selfish as a way to keep you in compliance with those societal expectations that you learned, with the cultural conditioning that you picked up from here, there, and everywhere. And I really, really want you to hear this. The voice that tells you that's selfish and they won't like it, don't mistake that for wisdom. That is not wisdom. That is not an internal knowing. That is conditioning. That is social conditioning. Now, this conditioning happens long before we become widows, right? We've been living with it, some of us for decades, multiple decades, many decades. And most of us are just happy, unaware of the rules that we've been living by, these unseeable, unknown, invisible rules that we picked up through no fault of our own. And then we layer widowhood and grief on top of all of this conditioning that was there anyway. And so now we've got a widow who is grieving deeply, who is probably parenting and feels like she's under a microscope, who is being praised for how great she's doing, being strong and holding it all together, what a great job she's doing with her kids. And she probably feels like she's being watched very closely, which, truth be told, she probably is. Right? People aren't saying anything out loud, but they're watching. Then a desire shows up to live life in a slightly different way, to move forward in whatever way that means to her. Maybe she wants companionship. Maybe she wants more joy. Maybe she wants to get a different job. Maybe she wants different friendships. She wants to date again. Who knows? Anything. She wants to do life differently than maybe she has been doing it or did it before. And then a part of us kind of panics. A part of her doesn't know what to do with that, doesn't feel safe. And so it offers judgmental thoughts, implying that what she's contemplating is selfish. How could you think about yourself now? Your kids need you. People will judge you. It's too soon. Are you sure you loved him enough? Are you doing grief right? I don't know if they'll like it. They might be upset. Their feelings might be hurt, right? This is internal policing with selfishness. And again, I really want you to consider that this voice is not truth. Definitely not truth with a capital T, but maybe not truth at all. It's actually just that you learned safety through self-sacrifice. It's that compliance is known and familiar. It is that when you start wanting more, you don't have the capacity or the safety to do that, and so it feels unsafe. I would like to say that I only see this occasionally. I would like to say that this is not a big problem that widows deal with. That would be a lie, because I see it all the time. In fact, as I was preparing for this podcast just this last week, I have watched the amount of coaching that I have done in Mom Goes On, which is my main coaching program for women who are in a grief plateau and want to love life again. I don't see this come up as much in acute grief, although it does. But in the grief plateau, it comes up a lot, right? Because we're in that place where we're looking around and we're evaluating life and we're noticing where we're out of alignment. And we're wanting to make changes. We're wanting to love life again. And it came up several times in live coaching and several times in written coaching, just since I've been thinking about this episode, okay? So it's not occasional. It's not for a few widows. It is all the time. And I see my clients bringing it into coaching when they're asking for coaching around dating, when we're talking about setting boundaries, when we're talking about spending money, we're talking about purpose, we're talking about wanting pleasure, we're talking about wanting something that doesn't revolve around our kids, we're talking about resting, we're talking about the holidays. You name it, it comes up. And it almost never comes up because anyone is actually hurting anyone else. It comes up because they are in the process of moving from survival in an area to agency in an area, from autopilot to intentional choice. They are thoughtfully evaluating how they are living. They are noticing where they are not in alignment with what they want going forward. And they are wanting intentional and values aligned changes. They are recognizing, as so many of you listening are doing, that life is short and precious, and that many of the choices they've been making, the habits that they have formed, the rules that they have been living by, are no longer working for them. That's where they are, is wanting to make choices that feel good to them, wanting to live fully again. And yet, it feels so hard. And that's one of the reasons. So I want you to hear that you're not alone if this resonates with you. I want you to hear that this is not just a grief thing. It's a how you were socialized thing. It's a programming that runs so deep, you probably don't see it. And even if you do, you don't likely see it as optional. It is just the air you have been breathing. So it's so depressing, right? I hope that's not what you'll take from this. What do we do? Okay. I really want us to take a look at the word selfishness, because sometimes we use that word and we don't even really give any thought to what we mean when we say it. Selfish means taking at the expense of someone else. Moving forward and the choices you want to make aren't usually that. They aren't actually taking at the expense of someone else. They aren't causing harm to others. Moving forward is taking responsibility for your own life and for your choices. It is exercising your agency. More than ever, it is recognizing your sovereignty, that this is your life and what you want matters and what you've learned matters and what you create next matters. And maybe it's never mattered as much before as it matters now. And maybe it's completely new to even come into touch with what you might actually want. Maybe you're so unfamiliar, it's so foreign to you that you even just struggle to know what it is you want, let alone to let yourself have it. And then when you do try to let yourself have it, or even when you do contemplate what you do want, there's a little voice that tells you that's selfish. And if you listen to that voice, you will stay in compliance. Not centering around everyone else's comfort is not selfish. It is self-directed, but it is not selfish. Wanting more for your future also doesn't mean anything about your past. It means you are a human who's been through some stuff, you lost your person, and now you get to decide what you want your life to look like next. Okay? And here's what I want to say too as it relates to kids. Your kids do not need you living by other people's rules, especially your daughters. They don't need to see you be small or play small. They do not need you to prove your devotion to them by suppressing what matters to you. They need a mom who is alive and present and attuned to herself and what she wants. They need a mom who is taking amazing care of herself and who is setting an example for them that self-care is not selfish. I know it's hard when we're thinking about our kids, but I want you to think about the example that you are setting for your kids, even if they're grown. Okay? One other option I want to leave you with, because we could just decide, I'm not going to call myself selfish. Wanting what I want doesn't hurt anyone else, right? Putting what I want high on the list doesn't mean I'm selfish. Now, if that feels like too much of a stretch for you, another option can be let yourself feel guilty. Let yourself feel guilty. Let that guilt be okay, because you know that it's just a sign that you are choosing to take healthy steps that are right for you. And the only reason you feel guilty is because it doesn't line up with that old conditioning. So you could just ask yourself, is this harming anyone? Am I taking something from someone if I made this choice? Or would I just be giving myself something that matters to me, something that I desire? And if it's not actually harming anyone, and by the way, someone having feelings about your choice is not harming them, okay? If it's not actually harming someone, what if you just allowed yourself to experience that vibration of guilt because it's caused by your own social conditioning that is not your own fault, right? It's just there. And you took action anyway, and you praised yourself the whole damn time, knowing that you are stepping into a sense of sovereignty that you have never known before. And that is incredible. And it feels scary because it is uncharted territory that goes against your conditioning. I am here for that. I hope you are here for that. You're not alone. Okay? That's what I have for you this week. Remember, I love you. You've got this. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you like what you've been hearing on this podcast and want to create a future you can truly get excited about even after the loss of your spouse, I invite you to join my Mom Goes On coaching program. It's small group coaching just for widowed moms like you, where I'll help you figure out what's holding you back and give you the tools and support you need so you can move forward with confidence. Please don't settle for a new normal that's less than what you deserve. Go to coachingwithkrista.com and click Work With Me for details and next steps. I can't wait to meet you.